brain, reptilian brain, emotional brain, limbic, and the neocortex. Now, I'm going to keep gradually getting to something very important, but I want to take baby steps there as to not scare you, because if I just say, between the whole putting nano fucking technology through fucking injections to control your cortex, your neocortex, and the neocortex being controlling all your senses, and whoever has control of your neocortex has control of your entire brain, because you can't directly control both those two first ones, but you can control the top level. And if I just go right to that, then you might think crazy, you might shut it off and whatever. So, I just put that there. I'm leading up to that necessarily, not necessarily that I believe in nanotech in the vaccinations, but I wouldn't put anything past them. I do know nanotech is possible and has been tried, and according to the stuff I read, it's possible. I've never seen it in life, in person, but anyways. So the reptilian mind is your instinctive mind. At the base it's your brainstem, basically, right at the bottom, and then over top of that is the emotional part of your brain. There was a point in time where most humans, well, all humans, whatever humans were on the earth, and animals, that's all they were. This is basically both of those are instinctive, okay? It's going on by what you feel, all right? You don't necessarily have to have language, even with this. You could just feel things. People could feel things. You go near somebody and, say you're one guy and there's 5 girls around. You go around those girls and the one girl, and you get this emotional response. If she has the same emotional response, you two go off into the sunset together. Another guy comes up, grabs the next 4 girls, another, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that's what happened, I'm saying, but that's just one way to look at it, and that's how I kind of look at it. I don't know if that's how it happened, but gradually the neocortex keeps getting developed, and even to this day some people have a lot of it, some people don't have as much of it, and the more neocortex doesn't necessarily mean the smarter you are, but it means the more potential you can have, because the neocortex has the potential to control everything. Once again, because humankind is adapting more, and we have our neocortex, which consists of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, right? And this is a part why I'm not rushing either, because I don't fully understand how the neocortex can both have the conscious and unconscious whenever the other two minds underneath are both ruled by the unconscious. So there's a little bit of gray area that I'm still in the middle of reading a book and doing research. So, but I still want to talk about it as I go, because then you guys will see the light bulbs going off as I figure them out too. So it's going to be cool like that. Okay, so a few of the videos that I recorded the audio and put them on my last podcast included some of the fear-based stuff about nanotech being able to upload to the cloud, which would be the selling point to get you to want to do this. But most people won't do that voluntarily, and I think they realize that. Now, I'm not saying this is what's going on, but time to start a conspiracy again. If they send out the coronavirus to test people to see how much, let's just say you want to know where humanity's at if you're an elite group. So you get your pawns, your governments of the world to make sure the media, or you tell the media directly, however it works, as above so below. This kind of works like that. The few control, anyways. You send out this virus, man-made or not, this happens, and you decide to focus on it. Otherwise, if we only would have focused on this, it's sort of been an isolated incident where people would have got sick from this thing, less people would have died, and we just wouldn't have known about it. It just would have been another bad flu going around. But it's gotten to crazy levels because we're all focused on how many people have getting infected, how many people are dying. And once again, there's people that get infected, that beat it, and no longer have the coronavirus, yet their statistics are still being counted. Understand that. So every day they say it's got bigger. Well, those first, however much it's at now, 100,000, 100 million, I don't even know, I don't watch that shit. But those first 100, those first 1,000, those first 10,000, that first million, probably the majority of those people don't have it anymore and or have died as well. So those people are still in the stats. So it's not really an accurate stat anymore. And the way they present it to you is this is how many cases worldwide, and they do it in past, present tense basically, so they can get away with it because they're not saying right now on the planet there's this many. Maybe they are, like I said, I don't know, but keep that in mind, that they're not telling you how many people have beaten it, and they're not telling you how many people out of this, and maybe they just don't know. They just know the reported infections, but a lot of those people are no longer infected anymore. So you got to take off so many of those. But let's just say, hey, let's run a test, because of the internet, because of the spiritual movement, because the age of Aquarius, because the event, because the veil lifting, because everybody's waking up and our cortexes are no longer sleeping, and we're not just being ruled by our emotions anymore. People are starting to break out of this thing, okay, because our neocortexes are slowly evolving even bigger than they have ever before. Then we need to test the people and see how many people can still be controlled and how many people are not. And if we have more people that can be controlled, well, then we win. And if we don't, then we don't. And maybe it's a big test to just try to get us to evolve. Who knows? But this is how you would do it. You would send this out, and you would see how many people you can get to go directly into fear, or fight or flight, or into fear, which puts you into fight or flight, which automatically trigger everybody's reptilian brain. Like I said before, people automatically, when they go into fear or fight or flight, all the blood goes to their hands and their feet, because it's like they're ready to run from a lion or an actual reptile. The reptile brain warns you about a dinosaur or something, but that's not the case. We're running from this virus that we can't see. According to my calculations, there's way more people on the planet that are easily controlled and put into fear or fight or flight or fear, and get them to be sick. So as a test round, if that's what this is, it's been very productive and very well for them. And they know if number 2 comes out and then number 3 comes out, well, then they're going to have major success, which really sucks for humanity. I'm not worried either. I'm not worried about my family either, because I got them. But just know, if you don't want to be infected, then start looking up some of the stuff I say, or don't take my word for it, do your own research. But as far as I can tell, this is why I've been led to this information. It's to literally be able to explain from the brain's point of view why this might be happening, and how do you get people to not explore and go within and use the neocortex in the right way, or get people to go into tribal mode or become one government, or whatever you want to say is happening. Well, this is what you do. You get everybody scared. Cause the problem, and create the solution. Supply and demand, right? You got to create the supply, and then you give the shit, and there's the demand for your supply. And then the whole vaccination thing, I'm not positive about, but it'd be a good way. People are not lining up to get this new whatever chips inside their body, technology, so they can just upload their thoughts to the cloud. If everybody says everything they've ever done, test, census says we don't want this, well, then it would have to be forced on us. And I'm not saying that's what's happening, but just be careful, because all potentials, all possibilities are real. And the more everybody focuses on it and talks about it and creates fear around it, well, it could be likely real. Now, I like David Icke, always have. I don't always agree with everything he says as well. I don't like his freedom of speech being taken down either. Nonetheless, I think I've already said this before, nonetheless, whether he's in it or not, which I don't think he would be, but there's no way to ever really know. Some people can be just really good actors, but nonetheless, staying neutral in this matter, they can take somebody who speaks truth like that, who's trying to help waken people up, and use them to create more fear, as they are. The London real guy is, getting your emotions going by telling you he's pissed off and he's going to fight for his right, and then we all got to stand up against this guy, and he's going to get more views of it, kind of like the way the media gets you to watch TV. Okay, nothing against the London real, I watch them, I think I'm even subscribed to them, but it creates fear. It's just more fear going around. It's more, hey, we gotta stand up for this shit because this shit's happening. But the more people focus on that, the more likely it's also to happen. And it's not a good thing to focus on. Things seem like they're starting to turn around right now, and then it almost seems like there's these little things happening to try to reverse that or get it to go back down. And, God only knows why, if, or gods and goddesses or deities or thought forms, egregores only know why. But it is what it is, okay? we are very close, I think, to realizing what we are and what we need to do. I mean, obviously, we're never going to completely know unless whoever created us or something closer to the creator would tell us, whether that's aliens or spirits or inner earth people, who fucking knows. But unless someone tells us straight up and gives us concrete proof, how are we ever going to believe it unless we're shown? But I think more than ever, people are willing to go with what they feel inside more than what history has told us. And who knows why that is, but between the whole subconscious and conscious mind and reptilians versus Palladians and all this stuff, it almost seems like I've always talked about infiltration into spirituality movements and stuff like that by either, Christian groups or, governments or just non-believers or maybe just trolls. But when I see duality like this, it always reminds me of the old paradigm, because the brain isn't just subconscious and conscious. But when you show it like that, to be that, and not really know how it works, if all people's understandings of the collective consciousness is completely all just we have subconscious and unconscious, and one is good, one is bad, or one's useful and one's not, or you need to put both together. That's great, but in the same sense, there's more to this shit. Maybe you don't need to know what I'm trying to look up right now, but I do think it's important to know that the neocortex controls both those two, and this makes depolarization even more profound, because the neocortex is going to input. It gives you more ways to have an emotional response, because the emotional response from the limbic system tells the reptilian brain to go into fight or flight or not. Okay? And so when we can speak, when we can understand language, when we can touch, when we can feel, when we can smell, when we can hear, when we can see. So all these things are attached to the neocortex. So this is more ways to be able to give you an emotional response. Is what I was saying. It's fascinating but almost scary, because we were evolved in such a way to give us these positives and negatives about everything. So don't just think this is all negative. It's not. But here's the negative attribute of it. Because we can see, and our neocortex is, the sight is very important. Well, when we see something on the internet or we see something happening in front of us and it makes us fearful, we hear it. You can smell certain things that could be scary too, but not as bad. And touch obviously as well, once again, not as bad, but before, that's probably mainly what made you have these emotional responses. But being able to see something, give you an emotional response, tells your system to go right away. When you're depolarized and you see something and it's not scary, it's not going to give you an emotional response, because you're depolarized and it's probably horse shit. Well, then you're less likely to fall for it, which is why there's some people out there saying this shit isn't real. Don't worry about it. There probably is a coronavirus, but you don't have to worry about it. It's just being blown up to get people affected and see how many people can be affected. And this is one of the things I really wanted to throw out there, because depolarization is a great thing. It helps you stay between both sides and understand both sides equally and stay grounded, balanced, neutral. You're not for, you're not against, you're in the middle. You're on the side of you transforming and not caring what these groups do. And then this shit's all put out there, everything's changed around, they're trying to create something to cause the people that were doing this work, who are going to get results, and then people are going to see them get the results, and then they're going to want to do the work, and it's just going to keep increasing exponentially. Well, this stops all that, because it doesn't matter how much results I get right now, this pandemic is still way more serious. It's like, well, why are you worried about that right now? Everybody's going to die anyways, you know what I mean? So it's a way to stop this from happening. But depolarization is the best way to prevent you from having an emotional reaction that puts you in a fight or flight or into fear without having any control over it. Now, once again, not getting into the whole nanochip thing just yet, but I think it was on the east coast of Canada, there was 2 massive shootings that just happened. And then Trudeau was calling for everybody's guns and stuff like that. What's up?
A week we went to sleep outside in the tents. Mom said to go. Hi, Daddy.
Yeah, I'll be down in a bit.
Okay.